From Tally to Cali,
It's time
to wake up.
wake up, wake up. WarChant.com is your ultimate Seminole sports source.
and this is Wake Up War Chant, presented by Zaxby's
Now here's WarChant.com's Aslan Hajavandi.
and Corey Clark.
Wake up! What's up, everybody? It's Wake Up War Chant presented by Zaxby's. I'm Aslan Hajavandi alongside Corey S. Clark, senior writer for WarChant.com. Use the promo code WarChant30 for 30 free days of access to the ultimate Seminole sports source, as well as great access to the Tribal Council, Corey's work, Ira's work, Michael Langston, Gene Williams. Some of the stuff I do is pretty all right. And after you're done signing up for your free trial, since it's free and you didn't spend any money for it, why don't you go ahead and treat yourself to some good food at Zaxby's. Indescribably good. By the way, check out our Twitter account, Wake Up War Chant, hashtag new profile pic. That logo is going to be smacked on the back of T-shirts. Well, they already have been. They're ordered. They're in transit. We're going to start giving away some of these T-shirts to some of our over-under winners, Corey. Maybe you can even autograph one or two of them.
I feel like I should, like a best wishes or whatever they want me to say, I'll say. It's a really funny looking T-shirt. Not funny looking as in you wouldn't want to wear it. It's just the design is really funny and good. It's very I think it captures everything.
Yeah, I think it does.
I think it captures us really well. So yeah, I have to get one for Brady. That's just it's a non-starter. I'm not giving any shirts to anyone until I get one for my son because he'll wear that to one of his school dances.
It took a couple revisions, but we finally settled on one that gave me my hairline from 2007. So that's what took so long to get these created. But shout out to our friends at Zaxby's for getting those made. If I could recommend right now, the Sensation is going off. It's a bigly success, Corey. It's bigly successful.
It's bigly good, man. That's good. I just feel like it's been a great marriage. It's been a great marriage. We've both gotten a lot out of it, and everybody loves Zaxby's just like everybody loves us,
Well,
right?
Everyone loves you. Shout out to Do It All Fan on Twitter at Do It All Fan. Tweeted Sensation filet sandwich meal first try, and he's flashing the horns up to me. And it looks delicious. It looks golden fried, slaws on there, some of that vinaigrette, the citrus vinaigrette, the crispy wonton strip. Hope you enjoyed those. I'm also on Twitter. Did somebody tweeted something at you, and then you said to ask me what happened here?
Yeah, it was something about
Phillip?
they couldn't get the podcast on Google Play, maybe.
I don't know, Philip. It should be there. It should be there.
He asked if we hadn't had one since Friday, and I'm like, well, no, we unless you've been lying to me, and those haven't been recorded. When I put those headsets on at the Midtown Studios, we should have a couple locked in the chamber for you.
Yeah, dying off in the ether. Anyhow, we'll do over-unders on Friday. By the way, NYC Noel, who's in NYC, messaged me saying, hey, I think I won a sandwich or free food, but I don't even care about the free food. I just want the shout out. So I went back and looked at it, and you didn't. You didn't, friend. You went over and then everything under. It was actually under, over, and then everything else hit the under. So I gave you a shout out anyways because you were kind of rude to me in the beginning, but I think we've grown to have some sort of mutual admiration, mutual respect. He's got Paul Gleason doing the horns from Breakfast Club. The late great Paul Gleason.
2 months, Bender.
2 months.
2 months. Yeah.
Yeah, so we keep him around. Post your questions to the Renegade Express. We'll do that tomorrow. That's sponsored by our friends, powered by our friends at First Commerce Financial. Corey pushing me to purchase a home, but I'm going to wait maybe till 2020, see what happens to the global markets before I dive into there. Corey, you're back to being positive, so I don't know how much fun I'm going to have on the show today. Also, we'll have Matt Carter at the end from the Wolfpacker to talk about NC State. But you wrote an uplifting column on Kendall Briles, the offense. You're satisfied with the results thus far?
If you look at it as on the whole, not just those two middle quarters where they don't do anything, but if you look at it on the whole, absolutely. It's the numbers I talked about on Monday's show where they are so much better at everything. Everything. Maybe not third down conversions. I didn't look that up. I should have. I assume they're still not great there. They were horrible last year, but I don't think they're very good this year either.
86th,
but everything else.
86, 38%.
Yeah, not great. Not great. But to think about the fact that you're doing it with a quarterback that's never run the system, wasn't recruited for that system, either one of these guys, and you're averaging 15 more points per game. You've scored 18 touchdowns in 4 games. Last year, you scored 9 in your first 4. You're averaging a yard 1.3 yards per carry more. You're averaging 50 yards per game rushing more behind the same offensive line that's still not very good, but you're finding ways to make it work. Overall, you can't look at what they look like offensively. And there were multiple times last year where they just had no chance. Mm-hmm. They would start a drive, 1st and 10, usually at their 9 because of a block in the back. But wherever they started it, the 1st and 10, you would be surprised if they got 1 first down in a couple of those games. They just could do nothing. And in every game this year, they've scored at least 24 points. They've scored 30 in the other 3. But not only that, they've had stretches where they've looked really, really good in every game. It's not just the numbers, right? It's how they look. They're not inept. Even when they get stopped, like Virginia. He had a guy wide open for a touchdown and he missed him twice in the last 2 drives of that game. Against Boise State, they had a bad snap at the 1-yard line. They had a fumble. They had stuff go wrong when they were moving the ball. It's just, it looks night and day different, right? And it's still not what you'd call good. I guess you might call it good.
It's good. They've got a good offense, man. They scored 21 points in the first quarter like it's nothing.
Yeah, it's just, again, it's because of what happens after their hot stretches where they can't get out of their own way seemingly for a while, that it kind of overshadows just in my opinion, it kind of overshadows the strides a little bit of what's the strides that have been made, because the strides that have been made with Briles and Clements and Dugans, we'll throw Dugans in there. I think I give a little more credit to Briles and Clements just because of what they've been able to do with that offensive line and to make it at least serviceable.
Amazing.
It's been incredible. It's been a complete turnaround. And now they got some serious defenses coming up. So it's not going to be all. I don't foresee them averaging 50 points a game from here on out. They're going to be warts. They're not good enough up front to be consistently great on offense, but they're good enough up front to have a good offense, which is what this is right now.
I think there's just so much. Maybe we're just haunted by last year, because it feels like in the press box, they'll get that drive in the second quarter where Cam only runs for 1 yard on first down, and maybe there's a penalty on second down. And then there was kind of like a collective groan of, okay, here they go.
That's a wrap.
It happens. I mean, that happens to teams. Teams have bad drives. We asked Kendall, we spoke to him yesterday, and I asked him about, hey, you can't score on every drive. We get it. You don't want to admit that, but, what's with the lulls? And he pulled out the whole, listen, they're on scholarship too, which sounds like a cop-out maybe to some folks, but I get it, man. I think they come out so jazzed up, and then I'm sure at some point when you score 3 touchdowns in a row, you come out for that 4th drive, and maybe 2 of the guys aren't as dialed in as they were the previous 3 drives. And then that makes things go awry, and then you end up punting a couple times.
Don't you think more, maybe even more than that, is the fact that the defense figures out, okay, well, we have to stop this right now. They're killing us right here. Yeah. And the defense might come out a little more focused. Like, this is ridiculous. Let's play. Like, I think maybe that the speed of the offense can overwhelm teams at first until they get their bearings and their footing.
Absolutely.
And then they can dial it, especially when they're at Doak. Obviously, they didn't score on the first couple of possessions at Virginia. But when you're at Doak and they're moving up and down the field, I think it can take the defense 2 or 3 or 4 series to really kind of get their footing with how fast the offense goes and what they're trying to do. And I think after what Florida State has to get better at, I think, is adjusting to the adjustments, because this is a real conference, man. These coaches get paid a lot of money, and they're good assistant coaches, and they can. I'm not besmirching the FAU opponents and the Houston opponents, but you're not playing the same kind of athlete, and you're not playing the same kind of coaching staff that you are in the ACC. So there's an adjustment to be made for Briles too, where you have to adjust to the adjustments. And I think that, and the players, and I think that is where they're struggling right now. But all in all, holy moly, you can't argue a 15-point. They're averaging 9 more first downs and 15 more points per game than they were through the first 4 games last season.
Yeah,
and that included a game against Northern Illinois.
Right. Last year wasn't murder.
You know?
Yeah, last year wasn't Murderers Row, the first 4 games. So people can be like, well, they've only played this, that, and the other. Well,
they're very similar, actually, when you look at the 4 games that I was using. So last year it was Virginia Tech, Syracuse, Northern Illinois, and Louisville. This year it was Virginia, Boise State, ULM, and Louisville.
It was
very
Samford
similar
last year. You didn't count Samford last year? Or are you looking at
I
FBS?
did, and I just did
right?
FBS.
Oh, I got you. Okay. Yeah. All right, so let me ask you this then. Is De'Aaron King coming here next year, or will Kendall Briles be gone? I mean, he's indispensable. I think this is showing this is 3 different stops or 4 stops in 4 years. If you count Baylor, then FAU, then Houston, then here, that if your offense needs fixing, I can do it. Pay me a nice sum of money. I will do it. Do you think any of the lingering branding of his family name is – I don't think it will. I don't know what his ultimate sort of aspiration is, but I would think a group of 5 school, if they came knocking and offered him a head coaching job, I would think he would listen hard and long to it.
Yeah, a group of 5, you think?
Yeah, I think he would leave for
man, really?
I don't think he's waiting. I don't think he's holding out for, Texas, for TCU or something, national championship caliber level program. Like, I mean, I think he would go to an App State, although they're not in the market for it. Like, I think he would go. If Lane Kiffin would go to FAU, I think Kendall Briles would take a head coaching job at most, group of 5 programs. That just weren't absolute abysmal, just joke of a program.
I mean, I would, I guess we'll see how this season ends up. But, man, I would think, number one, yeah, the King kid is out there. I have no inside knowledge. I'm not saying he'd come to Florida State. I certainly think there's a better chance he comes to Florida State than Oklahoma, because Oklahoma's got a real serious quarterback waiting in the wings right now, a 5-star super-duper kid that was the number 1 dual-threat player in the country. And I would imagine Lincoln Riley wants to coach him. That's why he recruited him. So I don't know that Derek King would want to go there. And he did score 50. He accounted for 50 touchdowns in like 9 games last year with Briles. Just crazy numbers. But anyway, put that aside. Like, if they go 7-5 or 6-6 this year, and he's averaged 14 or 15 more points than they averaged last year, 12 when it's all said and done, whatever it is, he's made great strides. Wouldn't you want to, like, my personal opinion is he's got a chance to get a Power 5 job. But I don't think he has a chance after 1 year at Florida State. I think 2 or 3 years he definitely does. But 1 year, I don't know that a Power 5 school would come calling. And I don't know that when you're Kendall Briles, I mean, I guess group of 5, man, that's a different deal. It's not, I think he would be smart enough. I'll put it this way. He was smart enough when we asked him about why he took the job. Do you remember some of his reasons?
Well, he watched the game on Monday against Virginia Tech, and that wasn't the Florida State I know.
Well, that was what he was. But one of the reasons he mentioned was he looked at the roster, he looked at recruiting rankings, and he looked at the schedule.
He said that?
Oh, absolutely. He said, I looked at the schedule.
Yeah,
so So my point is, I think he thinks long term. Like, I don't think this is okay. Is this just good for a year and then I'm going to go to something else? I think the way he thinks is like he's thinking about his career and not just, oh yeah, I'll go to Florida State. Like most people, he was out of a job. Like most people would be like, well, yeah, if Florida State wants to hire me, sure, I'll go. But no, he actually looked and made sure it was a good spot for him because he's on the ladder. He's on the ascent.
Yeah.
And I don't know that if you're on the ascent and you think you're a really good offensive coordinator, which he clearly is, and you want to be a head coach one day, that you take the first group of 5 job that comes. I think you can hold out for something when you're the OC. Like the last guy here who oversaw a terrible offense got UMass. Kendall Briles ain't leaving. Kendall Briles isn't pulling a Walt Bell and leaving for something similar. That just would seem completely to defeat the purpose of even coming here at all.
Well,
right?
You said he didn't have a they were going to pay you $1.1 million. I'm coming there. Well, I don't think this was like a part of some sort of master plan that I'll come here.
But
and
do you
rehab
think
my
he'd
image.
go like he could go to Southern Miss or something? And maybe that's not even a good example because they've had some success in football, but to a certain extent. But somewhere like a Southern Miss, and they might offer him a little more money that he's making now.
Right.
But I mean, or you could see how this goes. Play the long game. Wait 2 or 3 years, especially if you get this thing rolling. Especially if you know if the King kid is coming. Because if the King kid's coming, I assume he thinks, okay, we're going to win 9 games, so we're going to average 45 points a game. Not that I'm saying the King kid is coming. Or he really likes Jeff Sims. Or he thinks Blackman can lead it. Whatever. I just think there's a chance I think there's a good chance he would want to stay for 2 years, to get a better head coaching job.
I don't think there's anything left for him to prove to get that better head coaching job, but it might not be the right cycle. There might not be the right jobs open right now. Again, this is 4 years in a row, 4 different stops, 4 different conferences that you've shown that you can perform. I don't think he needs a second year here to cinch that Power 5 job. It's just whether or not Ole Miss comes open or Tennessee comes open, and they look at him at like a legitimate head coaching candidate. I don't think I don't think if we're looking at 2021 and then Ole Miss finally gets rid of Matt Luke or Jeremy Pruitt's gone to Tennessee. Like, all right, we know he's been there 2 years and been on the straight and narrow. Now he's ready for this job. It's just whether or not I think if they're ready to hire a guy like that, today or in 2 years from now, they would be ready today because he's shown you just how good he is. But apparently Phil Fulmer is going to go back to Tennessee, so keep an eye on that. Did you read that column by Pete Thamel? Oh my gosh.
No, Pete Thamel blocked me a long time ago.
Oh yeah.
So I don't see when his tweets pop up.
Oh, it was brutal.
About what?
Just about the de-escalating quality of football at the University of Tennessee. Just basically everything there is a joke. It's a mess, and it's all Phil Fulmer's doing. Phil Fulmer's selfish. Everything he does is trying to is to celebrate him and to profit him and his family. Basically, people in the SEC circles think that it's only a matter of time before he fires Pruitt and takes over as like head coach. So
really,
yeah.
Wow, that would be something. Hey, I'm all for it. I think I love watching that stuff from afar.
Yeah, no, for sure.
We're in our own little mess here, obviously, but I love watching that stuff from afar.
Yeah, we're fixed. We're rolling, man. We're rolling. Although I'm trying to wonder what we can ask Harlan later today to find out how this defense has got fixed. Drop the ball, your boy, everybody, me. I didn't really press Kendall about depth chart, what he needs. Fair questions I think that he would have answered would have been, hey, what do you need to see from James to feel good about him being able to play on Saturday? Or
why didn't you ask that?
I don't know. I was even thinking about it, man. I mean,
because I felt like immediately after he left, you were mad at yourself.
I was. I just because I just froze up. I can't believe because it was over and none of us asked him. Somebody asked him about it. I think he got 2 questions about NC State. We got what do you think you looked like on tape against Louisville 72 hours ago? And then I'm just kind of like, wait, none of us, not one single one of us, asked him who's going to be a starting quarterback.
Because in my defense, I walked over late because I was getting the great Keith Gavin.
I wasn't bringing you into this, Corey.
I know, but I was there, and if I had known that nothing had been asked like that, I would have assumed that would have been the first or second question asked, and I didn't want to repeat it and say, sorry if this has already been asked, because I assumed somebody had already asked it.
Yeah. Nope.
But you guys all let us down.
Yeah. Sorry about that,
hey,
buddy.
you can ask next week.
Well, we'll ask Willie, although I think there's a certain sort of clarity.
Yeah, Willie's not giving away anything.
Nothing. Although he volunteered that Hornibrook was going to see action. It was pre-planned going into the Louisville game.
Yeah, he did, didn't he?
Yeah, so.
But I don't think he's going to say I just can't imagine there's going to be a scenario where he goes, oh, yeah, and James is out this week.
Right.
He's just not going to say that. If you make the other team have to prepare an extra 8 minutes for the other quarterback, then he's going to try to do that.
This terrible team that they're about to play, which you'll hear about the scouting report on them from Matt Carter of the Wolfpacker here coming up. Also, who we spoke to on Tuesday, Tamorian Terry. This sort of soundbite that I'm about to play here has put War Chant somewhat abuzz. I listened to it. I maybe it's because I have stock in Terry Incorporated. It didn't bother me. I'll play it. You react.
coach get on to you about the peace sign?
Yeah, a little bit. He didn't want me to do the peace sign, like looking at him, but it's still gonna be there. I'm still gonna do what I gotta do.
All right. I mean, I don't know. That didn't bother me. That didn't sound too defiant. But man, there are some reactions on the Tribal Council that are not pleased. And what did you think, Corey? I mean, I don't know. It didn't bother me. I get it. I don't think he's going to do it again. Although it sounds like he might, but I think he was just kind of playing coy. That's me.
I would say if he does it again, whether he gets penalized or not, and there is going to be another play this year where he is running free into the end zone with somebody chasing him that isn't going to catch him. If he does it again, sit him for the rest of the game. Sit him for the next game.
Oh, what?
Because what does it say about how? And I don't take it seriously. Again, I think he should be able to high step into the end zone. I think he should be able to do a cartwheel. I think he should be able to take off his helmet and throw it at the defender. I don't care what he could take off. He could hold it like a baby. I don't care what he does with it. But there is a rule that you can't do that. And you almost cost your team, if they would have called it when they were well within their rights, you would have cost your team the game, because there is no chance, if that had been called and Florida State got first down at the 18-yard line, they were going in to score. The next snap would have been to the moon, or Hornibrook would have tripped. Aguayo wasn't going to make the field goal. So that could have cost his team the game. Willie's asked about it, says he talked to him right after the play, then says on Monday that, I think he got the message. So if he goes and does it again, after it's been a story, like Willie's already talked about it. He's on the record saying, I talked to him, we got the message. He's on the record saying he doesn't really care. Tamarian is. But I'm saying that's just words. I don't what he said doesn't really matter to me, honestly. It doesn't. He's just talking. It's what happens in the game. If he does it again, well, then what does that say about what he feel? And he gets, even if he doesn't get flagged for it, what does that say about how he feels about his coach? You know what I mean? I mean, that's almost like being a parent. Like if you keep, it's just straight disrespectful if he does it again. It is. It's not disrespectful to the game, because I don't care. You watch the NFL, they do the most elaborate celebrations we've ever seen. But in college, the 20-year-old kids that don't get paid, oh no, don't let them celebrate. It's ridiculous. They should be able to do whatever they want, even if it means mocking someone. I don't care, as long as they're not hurting them. But it is a rule. It'd be like, I can't even think of another. It'd be like a guy on your basketball team that keeps dunking in warm-ups. You remember when they used to have that rule?
Right.
Where you couldn't dunk in warm-ups, or was it technical? In just every game, Michael Snare is going to go dunk 6 times. Michael, they get to shoot 12 free throws now. Don't care. I'm going to do what I got to do. I'm showing off. I mean, it would be unbelievable if he did it again. Right? What would that say?
It would be. I don't think he will, though. I know that.
But if he does, what would you think the proper punishment would be?
Yeah, I wouldn't sit him the next game. I'd sit him for the rest of the game.
But what if it's late in the fourth quarter? What if it's you're already up 38-6 in the fourth quarter? I don't know if that really gets the message.
I don't know, maybe put him on blast in the post game. Just, I don't want any questions about him. I'm going to deal with him. That's one of the most selfish things I've seen as a coach. I'm extremely disappointed in him. He knows better than that, and we're going to handle that internally. Kind of do something like that.
Yeah, you're right. That's probably. And let's be honest. Can they afford not to play 15?
Nope.
They don't. They probably. So I get it. It's all. I'm being a pragmatist too. Like, yeah, man. Maybe against Clemson you sit him because hey, what does it matter?
Yeah.
But all the other games he needs to play. And if he's flashing the peace sign against Clemson when they're down by 35 points, just cancel the season. But yeah, it's just words. That quote doesn't bother me because, some kids just don't even really know what they're saying when they're talking to 7 cameras in their face. They just don't.
8:30 in the morning.
It's 8:30 in the morning. Yeah, or not. Yeah, I mean, he's only been up for 45 minutes probably, so he's still got some cobwebs. So I don't. The quote doesn't bother me nearly as much as if he actually follows through and does it again after saying he was going to do it again. Holy moly, is that a problem? That's a big problem, and you can't abide by that. You just can't. Not if you want to. Not if you really want the respect of the other players on the team.
Well said, Corey.
Thanks, buddy. And I'm not an old man.
No,
I love
not.
celebrations.
No, you do. I like the whole taking the helmet off and throwing at them. That'd be great. That'd be great.
Yeah.
Like
I mean,
like Mario
respectfully.
Kart, like roll it at them like a Mario Kart, or leave it on the ground like a banana peel and see if they'll trip over it, kind of a thing.
Not throw at them in the air. Yeah, roll it at them and see if they'll trip on it, or if they have to jump out of the way of it like it's a boulder or something.
I got you.
Yeah, man, I think that's the perfect way to. I mean, there's so many cool celebrations he could do. I don't care if he takes out if he takes his helmet off and puts his mask on while he's running. All of it's cool to me, man. Do whatever you want to do. The NCAA has different value system than I do. Yeah. You're not allowed to make any real money, but Antonio Brown can. Well, he's probably not the best example. Anybody that scores a touchdown in the NFL does just the most insane stuff you've ever seen. They do snow angels. They jump into the crowd. They all pose for a picture. But the college kids, nope, don't want them having any fun at all. The other college kid might get upset. Nonsense, Aslan. Nonsense.
Man, I just think about how much money he lost. Like, people on Wall Street have exited this life, I'm sure, for a smaller sum than $30 million, which is what Antonio Brown basically just, burnt away. Anyhow, last thing before we bring in Matt Carter from the Wolfpacker to talk about NC State. Quarterback-wise, I mean, we were at practice Tuesday morning. We were able to watch, about 10 minutes of practice. James Blackman walked by us twice. I almost wonder if that was kind of his way of like, yo, I'm not dead yet, still here.
He didn't walk by us.
The second time, he briskly jogged. He
jogged by us, yeah.
And didn't look like he was, gingerly jogging or limping or laboring at all. He had a brace on his left knee, which every quarterback except for Hornibrook, who has it on his right, your lead leg, your front plant leg, that's not your plant leg, but your front leg has the brace on it. His had it, but he also had like a sleeve underneath it. But that, it seemed more for maybe like a comfort purpose than any sort of actual therapeutic benefit. But when we were out there, they didn't do anything individual that would lead you to, see sort of who's running first team, who's running second team. They did do something as we were exiting, but I don't think I can say that because technically as soon as that period ends or whatever, we're not allowed to be there, but we're walking off the field. So naturally you keep rubbernecking and try to compile as much information as you can. With that said, I still lean towards Alex Hornibrook probably starting. I should say probably. I'm leaning towards him starting on Saturday. Have you changed your thought on that at all after watching 7 minutes of practice?
No, not at all. I did see when they were doing the all they were doing was doing the read stuff with the running backs.
Right.
And from what I saw, Hornibrook worked with Akers, which told us that at least for now. But also Blackman, after he did the fake, or actually gave the ball, when Hornibrook gave the ball to Akers, he sprinted off to the side really quick. That'd be quick for him. Yeah. Blackman handled the ball off and just stood there. Jogging in a straight direction is fine. Yeah. I don't trust him at all. And this isn't, I mean, that was one play. It doesn't matter at all. It was just something I noticed. But I'm saying just in general, jogging in a straight line isn't a big deal. It's cutting. And, why would you risk it? Why would you risk it? If he's slowed down at all, if he's hurt at all, it just would make no sense to me to do that. So I would be very surprised if he played. I would be very surprised if he started. Maybe if Hornibrook is terrible and he has to come in an emergency role,
not gonna happen.
He could. But yeah, Hornibrook's not going to be terrible, is he? Hornibrook's going to be lighting the Wolfpack up.
NC State's not. I think NC State they're better than Louisiana Monroe, but I think this team is a little bit better than they were week 2. They're a 5-point favorite. Florida State, I would hammer it. If I was your financial advisor, whatever money you have put away for Brady, I would double it with a simple bet.
Hey man, they covered last week. They pushed the week before, and were one overthrow away from covering then too. Yeah. They're doing all right by Vegas right now. I don't know if I would ever hammer. I'm never going to be confident with them to just roll to an easy win. But again, when you talk about steps, that would be nice if they got up 14, 17 points and then just extended the lead. That is allowed to happen. And I think that's the next step for this football team or this program in general is to win games comfortably. Like not just sneak out wins in the final 5 minutes, which is better than the alternative, don't get me wrong, but to actually get a big lead and not only hold on to the lead, but extend it every now and again. Oh, and you should also mention real quick that, or at least I saw it, is it Brendan or Brandon Gant? Brendan Gant, right?
Brendan Gant, yeah.
He was working with the linebackers.
Yeah, which I need to send a shout out to this guy on the War Chant. On War Chant, you know too much. And I actually talked about this on the show yesterday because I saw him post this, and I was like, that's actually not a bad idea.
Wait. Well, shouldn't it be I know too much?
Well,
you know too much. It's not. He's talking to us.
Right.
If that's his screen name, then we think he's all talking to us. Like we all know too much. But shouldn't it be I know too much?
Yeah, I guess so.
All right. Sorry, it's a cool screen name. It's just a little odd.
He spelled Brendan's name wrong. He spelled it Brandon with an A. But anyhow.
Yeah, I do that too, buddy. I do that. I get paid to write for a living, and I've done that multiple times this year. Basically
offers it up on Sunday night that, hey, why not put him in for the injured Jaden Lars Woodby? And, man, he got kind of jabbed a little bit. I mean, I don't want to call this guy's name out, but somebody's like, this is why I shake my head. This fan base is grossly uninformed on the simplest of football knowledge. They actually want to put a 200-pound safety at outside linebacker in a 3-4 defense and give instinct as the why. And then
I feel like has that been quote tweeted today?
I haven't looked and seen what has been said.
I mean, holy moly, that's a freezing cold take. Well, and I'm one to talk because I said it earlier this week that I didn't think it's a different deal to try to move somebody that's never played it. And we'll see how much he even plays or if he plays.
Right.
It was just one period. But, I said he's probably never played it in his life. So it's a lot to ask a kid that's never played it. It's a true freshman that's trying to learn his own position to now go completely learn a new position and be ready to play in a week or two. That's a lot to ask. But then right after that, I said that Keith Gavin should move over there. So,
right.
I don't know all that much either.
You know too much. Or you know just enough.
I don't know enough.
You know, yeah. He took a victory lap, but it was modest. He's like, guess who's working in his spot? Or JLW6. Come on, man. Just say Lars Woodby, brother. Called it is what he says. So good for him.
Yeah, man. Take a victory lap when it's especially if you get mocked.
Yeah,
absolutely. Take a victory lap.
Oh, and also last thing, shout out to the big homie Randy Clements. My favorite part of practice Tuesday was with maybe a minute or two left in the 4-on-4 drill. Him and his offensive line were like, all right, enough of watching this. We're going to go work. That's the first time I've seen them just break off from that opening salvo, knuck if you're buck drill. Any unit that's done so. And I just thought it was hilarious because I saw Bello walking and I panned over to the side. I'm like, uh-oh, did Bello get hurt? And then I start zooming out, and then it's just like Brady Scott's behind him, Ryan Roberts is behind him, and they're just like, yeah, you guys have fun with this nonsense. We're going to go actually practice football plays and get better. So Randy Clements, Kendall Briles, earning their paycheck, doing their thing. Corey, this is it for you and I. We'll be back tomorrow. The show's not over, though. Stick around. More Wake Up War Chant coming up. Interview with Matt Carter from the Wolfpacker talking about NC State. It's good stuff. He basically says they're not good either. We'll be back.
At Birch Orthodontics, they know what a difference a beautiful and healthy smile can make in your life.
They take the time to get to know you and perform a thorough exam so that they can make an individualized treatment plan just for you or your child.
They use the latest technology in a warm and comfortable environment. So whether you are interested in traditional metal or clear braces or clear aligners, they can give you the smile you deserve. They know investing in your smile means investing in your future. And at Birch Orthodontics, they are honored to be a part of your smile journey.
Serving Tallahassee for 16 years and supporting the Knolls since forever. Check them out at birchorthodontics.com. BURCH orthodontics.com. Welcome back into Wake Up War Chant presented by Zaxby's. I'm Aslan Hajavandi. We are joined by, I guess we call our sister website on the Rivals.com network over at NC State in Raleigh, the Wolfpacker.com. Our own Irish O'Fell will be featured on their podcast, so it was only fair to bring in their head honcho on our show. Matt Carter from the Wolfpack joining us here on Wake Up War Chant. Matt, thanks for your time, man. How are you?
I'm doing well. How about yourself?
Doing good, man. Doing good. It's been an anxiety riddled, trepidation, dripping sort of start for the Florida State Seminoles down here in Tallahassee, as you well know. This, though, no disrespect to the Wolfpack, obviously always gives Florida State a run for their money, but this just seems like if Florida State has made the sort of growth that people have seen here in the last 2 weeks, this could be a game where they put it all together and maybe show just the great potential they have. NC State, Dave Doran's done such a great job building something there in Raleigh, but with losing his offensive coordinator and Eli Drinkwitz and losing Dwayne Ledford, who was at Louisville, coaching their offense last week, there's a lot of important missing pieces to what he's had in his winning mix of late, isn't it?
Yeah, not only that, he's lost a lot of talented players. I would argue that kind of quietly, NC State may have been the second best team in the ACC the last couple of years. It's just there was such a huge drop off from Clemson, nobody cares, right? But they've lost. I forget I should know it, but I think they had 7 draft picks 2 years ago and 4 more draft picks this past year, plus 2 guys that were not drafted, made the NFL as undrafted free agents. I think Florida State fans remember Jacoby Myers for doing the little flip in the end zone 2 years ago down in Tallahassee, where he made the New England Patriots as an undrafted free agent. That's a lot of NFL talent that's gone. Add to it 4 new coaches, 3 of them on the offensive side of the ball. And really, honestly, NC State comes into this game, we still don't know who NC State is, and I don't think they really know. They're still trying to figure out what they have and what they're working with. And they're so young. Their last game, only 7 seniors played against Ball State. It's such a young football team that it's really looking for an identity. It's kind of a transition year for the Wolfpack.
Yeah, I was going to ask you that. They started off with East Carolina, played Western Carolina, dropped the contest against West Virginia, and then returned home last week and beat Ball State. Some special teams plays in the second half helped them kind of coast away and pull away with the victory there. So with all this newness, I guess, was there anything, you talk about trying to find identity for that team, but just watching them, is there going to be another 1,000-yard rusher and probably that'll keep the string going alive? Is Matt McKay, has he grown week to week, or is this something that Bailey Hockman might be able to jump in on? Is offense, defensive strength? I mean, what have been your sort of initial thoughts after seeing 4 games against some up and down competition?
Yeah, my first thought is that East Carolina and Western Carolina are 2 really bad football teams, and that anybody could have beaten those 2 teams, right? So you really didn't learn anything about them until West Virginia, and quite frankly, they didn't handle that road assignment very well. It was just so sloppy. A lot of stupid penalties, of a late hit out of bounds that was so late. Other things of that nature. False start. I think they had 6 false start penalties against Ball State. One thing that probably stood out, they do have a good collection of young running backs. 2 freshmen and a sophomore. 2 of them were 4-star recruits. One was a Rivals 100 recruit, and the other one was a Rivals 250. And the third one was going to Maryland before the coaching changed there. And they were really good. They're very athletic, particularly the 2 freshmen. So I think down the road, you'll see a little bit of it this year, but in the years to come, you're going to see a very explosive, dynamic running game coming for NC State. But it's going to come down to the quarterback position, and there's really no clear answer there. I mean, it's not Matthew McKay hasn't really grabbed that position yet. I do think we'll see Bailey Hockman playing a meaningful series or 2 against Florida State, unless McKay just comes out on fire, which he has not done yet. I suspect you'll see Bailey Hockman play a little bit Saturday. All of that is where they're still trying to find. They're still trying to find a lot of those pieces. And the defense has really been hurt by injuries. It's getting a little bit healthier for Florida State, but they're still missing some pretty key components from an injury standpoint.
Matt Carter from the Wolfpacker.com joining us here on Wake Up War Chant presented by Zaxby's. You mentioned the health, obviously, is a developing thing on the defense for NC State. Nick McLeod, James Smith-Williams, those are two pretty important parts. McLeod, a cornerback, Smith-Williams on the defensive line. Are those guys that they're hoping will return to practice this week, or is that just kind of a day-to-day touch-and-go sort of thing?
Yeah, McLeod, I'm 99.9% certain he will not play. And he's their best cover corner. He's also their best run support corner. They have a pretty good corner on the other side, and Chris Ingram has got 2 interceptions with the ACC Defensive Back of the Week this week. But there's a drop-off. It would have been a very nice combination of Ingram and McLeod. But there's a drop-off between those two and number 3, and that's been something they're dealing with. Smith-Williams is supposed to be back this week. He's the next very athletic NC State seems to just find these very athletic, freakish defensive ends, and he's the next in line. And I think Bruce Feldman had him like number 3 or number 5 freak athlete in the country. But Dave Doran hinted Monday that he probably will be back, but perhaps in a limited capacity. So I don't know how much you'll be able to see from him on Saturday.
And keeping it on defense, longtime West Virginia coordinator on the defensive side of the ball, Tony Gibson, joined NC State. I know they're going more to it seems like a 3-3-5, which is, I think, kind of what he was running at West Virginia, at least some years ago. Has some of the stuff on defense, does it feel like a growing pains kind of a thing with the new scheme, or is it just maybe not the usual talent that Dave Doran's been able to compile there in Raleigh of late?
There's been some growing pains where West Virginia, obviously those guys knew how to attack it because they've seen it. Right? That's all Tony Gibson's been doing over there. So they kind of exploited some areas of weaknesses, and they've had some particular trouble on the edge. Jet sweeps, reverses, quick passes out on the perimeter, those type of things have been an issue. They've primarily been in the 3-3-5 because they've lost 3 or 4 defensive tackles in the preseason to injury. And so they were just too short on defensive tackles to have a nice rotation with a 4-man front. But they do have a pretty good group of linebackers. They're very young and they're pretty good. They've been a little bit underperforming to expectations so far. I think they've been riding those linebackers pretty hard in practice to get them back to playing like they think they're capable of playing. But that was part of the reason why they went to the 3-3-5 is obviously Tony Gibson knows it well, and with a lot of defensive tackles getting hurt, and they thought they're playing 6 linebackers. They rotate them in, and they thought this was the best way to get the linebackers on the field. But the linebackers have got to start playing more like they're supposedly capable of playing.
Last thing before we let you go here, Matt, just, you don't need to make a score prediction or anything like that if you don't want to, but just, looking at the rosters, obviously, and the injuries and the changeover and the turnover on the staffs of both of these schools, it kind of seems like if Florida State plays the way they've been playing the last 2 weeks, they would have to lose this game or create some mistakes on their own self-inflicted, unforced errors to really give NC State a good shot of pulling off an upset on the road, it seems like. Would you agree, disagree, or what do you see there?
Well, see, from Dave Doran pointed out, if Florida State would play the first quarter for 4 quarters, they'd be killing everybody.
Yeah.
NC State has not been a good second-half team this year, so I think Florida State fans can hope for a little bit of a break in that regard. NC State's last 2 games, I think they've had under 100 yards total offense in the second half, both games. This is true. Matthew McKay in the second half against Ball State had 1 passing yard. He was 1 for 8 for 1 yard. So NC State's not the team on paper that has shown that they're going to come back on you if they fall behind early. And they haven't necessarily been a strong starting team. They've been really good in the second quarter, but that's been about it the last couple of games. So I kind of like how it sets up for Florida State. And obviously, I don't know who the quarterback is going to be. James Blackman has played against NC State the last couple of years. He's been really good against NC State. But I like the Seminoles. I put a prediction on our board already. I think I had FSU by 10 or 14 points. I can't remember off the top of my head. But I think it sets up somewhat favorably for Florida State. Primetime game in Tallahassee with a young NC State team. I truly believe this is a transition year for the Wolfpack, and they'll have their growing pains a little bit. And I do think it sets up pretty favorably for Florida State. But you never know. Wacky things seem to happen whenever NC State and Florida State play each other. It just seems to be a strange series over the years.
You ain't lying. You ain't lying. Folks, check out his work over at thewolfpacker.com. Matt Carter, one of the most well-researched, well-read up on, and best prepared guys on the entire Rivals Network, will have all the information you want to know about NC State. And also check out their podcast. Check it out on iTunes. Just Google up and search up the Wolfpacker. At some point, Ira will be on the program with them, so check that out as well. Matt, we appreciate the time. Thanks so much, man.
Sure thing. Thanks for having me on.
Unlike fanny packs, bowl cuts, and troll dolls, the sensation is back, only at Zaxby's. The Sensation Salad and the new Sensation Filet Sandwich features hand-breaded chicken, Asian slaw, wonton strips, and citrus vinaigrette, and both are served with an egg roll. The Sensation Salad and the new Sensation Filet Sandwich meal, for a limited time, only at Zaxby's. And skip the line when you order ahead on the Zaxby's app or on Zaxby's.com.